myself, Excalibur, joined here by none other than the best-selling Jim Ross and the Human Suplex Machine, Taz. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us.
Good Hello, men. And Excalibur, I think it's grand that indoors you wear your mask. I respect that.
Hey, all times, man. I got a big supply of these. Looks like JR is not wearing his customary cowboy hat, but you know what? Well deserved. Jim, congratulations on the success of Under the Black Hat. You guys had an amazing first day.
We sold on my little website, jrsbbq.com. We sold 1,000 books in 2 days, and I got to sign them all.
Great job.
Sign them all.
That's a rib right there.
I ribbed myself. So
congratulations, JR. Hey, look, you're still under the black hat right now. It's just not a cowboy hat.
Correct. Free swag, you know how it goes.
That's right. You got to wear it. That's shouts to How Ming.
I can wear my JR shirt. Look.
See that?
This is a shirt, ladies and gentlemen, that no one has because no one has bought it.
Well, if you want to be the first, you can go to shopaew.com and get the JR shirt or any of the other 7 new shirts that dropped today. But we talked about Jim's book coming out yesterday. Another thing that came out just about 2 hours ago was the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. And Taz, we kicked off with a huge singles contest between Kenny Omega and Trent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys know just as well as I, like, once you saw those two names, that those two names are going to compete against each other. You know, you got one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions in Kenny Omega, and you have one half of the best friends in Trent. And I got to say, I was really happy for Trent because he had a great outing. Okay, in my opinion, anyway, he and Kenny, they tore it up, they busted ass, and I thought they had a great match. And I'm saying I'm happy for Trent because I feel like that put him at another level in the singles ranks. You know, he's known as a tag team guy with Chucky T, but still, I really think he stepped up his game against one of the best in the game in Kenny Omega.
I think that the tag team, the best friends have really improved. They've become real contenders. But at some point in time, at least that's my theory, is that every tag team wants to be single stars. And both these guys are young. Hey, Beretta's been in the business over 15 years.
Oh.
So they either have to continue to raise their game as a tag team to become tag team champions, or he needs to go, and both Chuck and he need to be singles. So time will tell how that works out. But nonetheless, he had a hell of an outing. And those are the times when a guy maximizes his minutes. And boy, Trent maximized his minutes tonight. And let's not take anything away from Kenny Omega.
No.
I don't know how the hell he's a rubber band man. He's like a slinky. I don't know how the hell he does it.
Yeah, that German suplex that Trent delivered, not only that slingshot one in the ropes, but that big avalanche style one off the top. Looked like Omega came down on a left shoulder, but he was still able to get Trent up, hit that one-winged angel. And so far, nobody in AEW has been able to kick out of the one-winged angel. But JR, you've sung Trent's praises for a long time about being a standout singles competitor. He and Kenny actually met about 2.5 years ago in Japan, as was referenced on the show. And since then, he's focused primarily as a tag team wrestler. But Jim, do you think Trent has a bigger upside as a single or a tag in AEW?
Well, based on what I saw tonight, I'd buy stock in if he was a single. But as I said earlier to preface this, not to crap on the tag team, but again, somewhere down the road, you're going to share one payoff, or you're going to split a payoff. You're going to make money yourself. And I just think that the big money for most wrestlers is as a singles guy. And I think Taz's career would speak that out itself, because he was never known as a tag team guy because he couldn't get along with anybody.
And he
nobody wanted to ride with him. Nobody wanted to ride with him. He always had to drive and control the radio.
That's kind of bullshit, but that's okay. So here's the deal, Jared, a little bit, right? So here's the deal, though. All kidding aside, when I first broke into business, I wanted to be a tag team wrestler. Me and Joe Chetty, my cousin Joe, Chris's brother, we were going to be a tag team, and then we were going to go train on the Dr. D. David Schultz in Connecticut. And neither of us had the money. And then Joe decided he was going to be a scab in the NFL when they were having scabs, and he was a really good player. And I went to Johnny Rods, and he said, "Hey, what do you want to be a tag team for? Okay, you want to be a singles guy, you make more money." To your point, JR.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's all about. But nonetheless, the good news is that you got two guys there, and Chuck and Trent, that have upsides to do one or the other. I've also noticed lately that it seems like Chuck Taylor All-Stars is gaining some weight. He's getting a little bit more bulk on him. And I like that for that guy. He's got a big, long frame. He could be a lot bigger and a lot stronger if he focused on it.
Yeah, definitely. And Excalibur, you pointed out a spot in that match, the German suplex, both men were on the top rope, Omega and Trent. And both of you guys know that's danger when that happens. And we, like you pointed out, Excalibur, I mean, Kenny landed awkwardly high on his head and shoulder. I sat in my living room and saw that. I cringed. I got to be honest. And I assume both of you guys cringed too, but it seemed like he was okay. He's a tough son of a gun, and Cody pointed that out in commentary, how tough of a guy Omega is.
It was a brutal landing for Omega, but the thing that he did is, and this speaks to his ability as a singles competitor, he had the ring awareness. He heard the time cues coming from Dasha Gonzalez. He heard that they were under 5 minutes. And actually, I think at that point, under 3 minutes, and he knew that he had to kick it into high gear to come out with the victory. And so he was able to fight through the pain to kind of fire up, and he hit that big knee that stunned Trent, and then followed it up with that one-winged angel.
Yeah.
And Taz, I mean, you could speak to the importance of having a move that you can rely on, just having something in the chamber at all times, and that's exactly what Kenny's got.
Correct, and that's the thing with Kenny. You know this. He's probably got more than one, right? But if you have that move, especially something like a V trigger to set someone up, someone that you could come and strike someone and boom and just drill somebody quick and then hit the one-winged angel. I mean, no doubt about it. And he's built that move, Kenny. He's built it to a point that he could hit it damn near on anybody, and he has worldwide. So. Look, like I was saying at the top of my commentary on this to you guys, I think you guys both can relate when you saw their names on the paper. They're going to face each other. There's chemistry there. And JR, you know this in regards to booking talent and booking matches. You could tell a lot of times, and you can speak on this, chemistry just by looking at names next to each other.
Yeah. Look, this roster is loaded with talent. And a lot of them are, even though Trent's coming in his 15th, 16th year, this level of competition, getting the opportunity to be a star on television and build your brand is something he hasn't had the opportunity that on a national basis to do. When he was in WWE, he wasn't a star. He was a player.
Right.
Now he's a star, and he's got a chance to raise his game and increase his value. That's the whole thing about this, a business here. So he's a stock, he's a commodity, and he's his own boss in essence, independent contractor, blah, blah, blah. So I just think he opened the door today, opened a lot of eyes, even more importantly.
Well, that was an incredible way to kick off AEW Dynamite here tonight. And before we go on to the next match, I want to remind everybody that's joining us on YouTube, first of all, thank you very much. And second of all, you can drop your questions into the chat. Myself, JR, or Taz will be available. We'll try to wrap up the show tonight with those questions. But the second match of the evening that we saw after that incredible barn burner of an opener was Hikaru Shida taking on Anna Jay, and Anna Jay making her AEW debut. And Taz, you've been in a lot of places. You've debuted in a lot of places. You know the jitters, those that nervousness that comes when a new competitor has to debut, especially against a high-level talent like Hikaru Shida.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing too. And if you're Shida, you know this young lady Anna Jay, she's debuting, so you don't know that much about her. But I got to tell you, Anna Jay, I thought she had an excellent appearance and an excellent match with a top level female, a top level woman in AEW in Shida. I mean, and I thought she looked great. I wasn't too familiar with Anna Jay at all, but I'll tell you what, man, I was very impressed with her. JR, thoughts on her? I mean, she looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on a young woman making her debut. She's looking for work. She's looking for a job. And the only way she's going to get a job is to have impressive outings and to be able to go step for step with Shida, who I believe is as good as anybody in AEW, any female in AEW, without a doubt. I'd love to see Shida in Nyla Rose somewhere down the road, and probably we will when all this craziness goes around. People can travel like myself and us all us guys here. So good outing for her. Good. I'm not so hung up on her losing. I'm more impressed with what she did until the 3 count.
That's right. Anna Jay was able to hang with the #1 ranked Hikaru Shida all the way until the very end when Shida hit that Falcon Arrow. She did the deal. And as we like to say, nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow. And Anna Jay was somebody that wasn't able to kick out. But after the match, things got really interesting when Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker kind of crossed paths, and looks like there might be some animosity between those two, Taz.
What? Yeah, I know, and I'm trying to figure out. I mean, what in the hell was she eating? A hamburger, Dr. Britt Baker? What was she?
It looked like she was eating a Popeye's chicken sandwich, which maybe was pretty good.
It could have been it could have been a pop or a sandwich from Cracker Barrel, maybe a chicken sandwich from Cracker Barrel. But I digress, right? But I would think that late in the evening, a dentist wouldn't be eating because stuff could get caught in your teeth, and it's tough to floss when you're ringside, you know. But yeah, no. All kidding aside, yeah, we definitely saw some tension, some heat, some kind of shenanigans, something going on there with Shida and Dr. Britt Baker, which could be something pretty good. You got to be careful, Dr. Baker, because that Shida, she'll catch you at one of those strikes, especially that knee. She'll drop you, and you got to get your grill fixed by like a colleague dentist or something.
I heard that Dr. Baker was flossing after that incident with a heavy duty floss. So I think she's preparing for the worst in this situation. Well, she will get kicked in the face when she fights Shida, no doubt about it. Count on it.
I agree.
Well, so Hikaru Shida maintained her #1 ranking in the women's division, and JR, as you mentioned, that collision course with Nyla Rose, the AEW Women's World Champion, seems inevitable. From there, we shifted focus to the AEW Men's World Championship, and we found out that Jon Moxley, in 2 weeks' time, will be meeting Jake Hager in a no-holds-barred empty arena match. This will be Jon Moxley's first defense of the AEW World Championship title, and he's going to have his work cut out for him, Jim.
Well, yeah, no holds barred basically gives those gentlemen a license to do what the hell they want, anywhere they want, how they want. It's probably one of the most unpredictable. I've never heard of a champion making his first world title defense in such a unique environment against such a very dangerous opponent who this environment, I would think, is right down Hager's alley. Because Hager can beat you striking, he can beat you with submissions, he can beat you grappling. He's got all these high skill sets that have been refined over a great training. You know, he's the 3-time All-American at OU, and I know everybody knows I'm an OU guy, but bottom line is I don't know All-Americans. You earn that. So he was an All-American 3 times. He's undefeated in MMA. I'm not so sure this is the greatest match in the world for Moxley, but I sure as hell give him credit for having the balls to do it, because this is it's a tough thing he's got himself in, and I'm anxious to see that match in a couple of weeks.
And Taz, before you chime in, want to give a shout out to Lugnut6 in the YouTube chat, who actually asked the question for Taz. Do you think that Jake Hager's combination of pro wrestling ability and MMA training makes him unbeatable in an AEW ring? I mean, thus far, undefeated, Taz.
Yeah, I know, and you're right, Excalibur. And I have to say, I do think it makes him damn near very difficult to beat. I mean, JR just laid out all of Hager's his accolades, and not only that, his size and power, but that combination of being a legit MMA guy along with an accomplished world champion professional wrestler and having a plethora of size of most of his opponents, it makes him deadly. And that choke he uses, that, you know, is nasty. The thing I want to say too, though, is I think we need to mention, though, Mox, and you guys know this, he's far from a small guy. Mox is a big dude, but next to Hager, he almost looks small, which is odd. But that combo with his MMA background, Hager, along with his size and his accolades at OU as a Division I Big 12 wrestler, makes him damn near deadly.
Yeah. No one's unbeatable, but Hager's right in that category. He sure is close.
Yeah. Hey, Excalibur, you said the gentleman's name was Lugnuts Jones. What was it? Lugnuts?
Lugnut6.
All right, my bad. All right, cool. All good. Lugnuts.
Is he a member of the Dark Order?
He could be. He could be the 6th member of the Dark Order. We'll get to that a little later.
All right.
Taz, one point to expand upon, though, is that not only does Hager have this undefeated streak in MMA and in AEW, but Jon Moxley has got quite a streak going for himself here in AEW. But not only that, he's been training with Randy Couture
In MMA, yes.
in MMA training. So we saw him use and utilize a lot of those skills in his match against Chris Jericho, countering the Lion Tamer, able to duck under the Judas effect. And so you have to imagine that Jon Moxley's been doing a lot to prepare, a lot of, I guess you would say, standard style MMA training to prepare for somebody like Jake Hager.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great observation. And I was actually going to mention that, but I forgot. So I'm glad you did that.
Are you sure? Were you really?
JR, you know me. I would never fib. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. I would not fib. No, but I do think that training with Couture is going to help Mox immensely. Just at any time someone applies any sort of a choke or anything towards your throat, having some training in grappling or as an amateur wrestler or judoka or jiu-jitsu guy or girl, just to get that separation between that hold and your throat. It's a basic thing, but it's instinct. For a guy who's training in that, like Mox, it could be instinct now for him through his training to keep that separation.
And Taz, I think one of the most important things about that is keeping your composure, because if you're in a choke, if you're in a move where the blood flow is being cut off from your brain, it is basic human instinct to panic and to try to freak out and do everything that you can to get out of that choke. But in MMA training, one of the things they teach you is to maintain your composure and not to panic, because then that often sets you up for another move, perhaps even more dangerous move. And so if you maintain your composure, you keep your focus, you're better equipped to escape from a submission hold.
1 zillion percent correct. I've choked guys out. I've been choked out, and some training you work on getting choked out at some dojos, believe it or not. I don't feel doing that anymore, but back in the day, that's how it was, to get used to that. And a lot of it is in your psyche. It's the fear of it. And then, the lactic acid builds up your body. Your blood pressure starts going and you get choked out quicker. So to your point, Excalibur, it's about keeping that poise and that relaxing. And hopefully Mox can do that if he gets caught in that hold.
Well, the thing about Mox, he's got a great mindset. Being the AEW heavyweight champion of the world means the world to him, and no pun intended. He's finally getting recognized in our business in AEW, where heretofore he wasn't recognized as he's a part of an ensemble cast, which is just like being in a tag team. So you got to share the credit, you share the spotlight. Now the spotlight is squarely on Jon Moxley, and he's making his time that he's not traveling, he's not going to Japan. He does work out in these MMA gyms, and he lives in Las Vegas, so he's in a great spot to do that. I think Moxley's attitude, his mindset, is one of his strongest gifts. He reminds me a little bit of Stone Cold, quite frankly, just hell bent. I don't care. I'm proud of this title, and you got to stomp my ass to get it from me. So that's what we got to expect in 2 weeks. Can Hager close the deal? Is Jake Hager as hungry to be the AEW heavyweight champion in an ensemble group with Jericho's crew as Jon Moxley is to keep the title? It'll be a slobber knocker, as somebody said one time. Oh. And I think it's going to be one of the great matches of the year.
Slobber knocker. I got to start using that, Excalibur.
I wonder who coined that phrase. Well, actually, speaking of slobber knocker, Justin Lunenfeld in our chat just mentioned that he started reading Slobber Knocker just a couple days ago. He's very much enjoying it. Wow. And Under the Black Hat, as we mentioned at the top of the show, just came out, available all out in finer bookstores around the world. And Justin's question was actually for you, JR. Is there anything that you covered in Slobber Knocker in the early days of your career that now, with the retrospect, or the luxury of time, that you would have done differently?
No, I told the truth. I told honestly how I felt on certain situations. The key thing is that when you're talking about your life, there's going to be ups and downs, and Slobber Knocker was a book of ups and downs. It showed how I got introduced to pro wrestling, how I did pay my dues, how I had great teachers, and I was very, very lucky to be at the right place at the right time more often than not. So, but it's a story of how a kid from Eastern Oklahoma can get in the wrestling business. I didn't know anybody in the wrestling business. There were no dojos. There were no gyms. I wasn't going to be a wrestler anyway. I got a job in wrestling because I loved it, and Bill Watts offered me $125 a week to come to work for him and Leroy McGurk. And I wanted to be in the business so badly that I accepted the $125 a week. and that was not real good. We didn't go to the mall a lot. It was kind of like now. We stayed home a lot, my first wife and I, because we had no damn money. But the money was made later because I got a great education. So, but I know I wouldn't change anything. And probably Under the Black Hat is a little bit heavier because of the topics that we cover, including my late wife's passing. So they're both compelling reads. I'm patting myself on the back. I know, Gorilla. I know you're out there watching. Don't break your arm, redneck, patting yourself on the back. I'll try not to. I just look at this book as kind of my last public hug for Jan. That's how I look at it. And
it was a tremendous read, JR. And I mentioned I absolutely devoured it over the course of a cross country flight, and I cannot recommend Under the Black Hat highly enough to you. But I mean, just touch on something real quick. Are you saying $125 a week is not good? Because that's what Tony's paying me. Before we get on to the next,
I'll introduce you to my agent. Tony Khan knows quite well.
Or I have an agent too, Excalibur, Joey Numbers. He might be able to help you out with Tony Khan.
But he's also a State Farm agent.
Oh wow, a lot of competing offers here.
He's an agent
coming after that 20% of my $125. I just want to give a special mention to Jordan Culverson, who asked on the chat, when is AEW coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee? Jordan, right now, I hope you can understand that given the circumstances, the way things are right now, our schedule is kind of on pause. Everything's up in the air for now, so we can't give you a definitive answer there. But Chattanooga, Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee, one of the wrestling hubs of the world, and whenever we can get there, we definitely will.
No doubt. Everything is up in the air right now, except for us, because we're not flying anywhere. But and everybody out there, just to take a quick break while we're doing this show and having a good time and talking about Dynamite. Hopefully everybody's out there staying safe, and we're giving you a little break from everything that's going on. And Dynamite, I thought, was a great break with some great wrestling. So
it's amazing. Speaking on that, Taz, it's amazing how well the show looked, the audio, how it sounded,
right,
with literally a skeleton crew. And there was hardly anybody. I didn't hardly see any. I know the cameramen were there, but I didn't see them all running around. So they limited the cameramen, I think. But to hear the show and to see the show, see it was well lit with a really a skeleton crew. That's being generous.
Right.
My hats off to the AEW production guys and all the creative people, and to Tony Khan for leading the way, because man, this is a major undertaking to do a 2-hour live television show in an empty arena with a partial crew. The things they're doing are nothing short of extraordinary, and it's to entertain the fans. It's always got to be about entertaining the fans. There should be no other agendas for any wrestling company other than produce good, sound, athletically oriented wrestling to entertain your audience. And when you take your eye off that ball, then it's all it is flipping and flopping and scripted promos.
Right. And I agree 1000% with you, JR, on how Dynamite looked tonight. I was, it was awesome. I thought it was great. It looked great. And I want to say, speaking on behalf, I can't speak on behalf of all the talent, all the guys and girls who wrestle, but I can tell you.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
No, I can't. Come on now. I can't. No, I can't. But anyway, the thing is, though, what I'm about to say, though, is it's not, and you guys know this, it's not that easy to wrestle in front of no one, especially when there's cameras around and you're on live TV and a lot of people are watching worldwide. And we saw that happen. The past couple, we've been seeing that happen. Our talent, our roster, our men and women going out there and knuckling. Some people say, it's just like training. It's just like wrestling when you're training in the gym or the dojo, and there's nobody there and you have a match. No, that's bullshit. It's not like that. Okay. It's completely different. And seeing the way the guys and girls are working, I think is awesome.
Well, Taz, somebody that had no trouble performing in front of no crowd, or actually, I would say murdering in front of no crowd, was the debuting Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk monster himself. He has had his first official match in AEW, and I wouldn't have bet my life savings on Marco's stunt. I wouldn't even have bet $1 on Marco's stunt. I think
all that $125 that you're making.
Yeah, but I think Marco comported himself well. But what we saw was a very driven, very focused Lance Archer in his AEW debut, Jim.
I think nobody takes a better ass whooping in AEW than Marco Stunt. He's got, hey, look, the little guy's got courage, and he's got a lot of guts to be that size. And even I'd have forfeited the goddamn match. I'm telling you that right now. I'm out. I ain't going to fight Archer. You crazy?
Right.
We've all seen Archer in different places at different times. But here's the deal. Same thing for a lot of our guys. He has a chance, does Lance Archer, to reinvent himself, to make his own legacy. And if he gets the quote unquote rub from Jake the Snake or Jake Roberts, whatever we're calling this week, but he's going to learn a lot, and he's going to get some more confidence. He's a former college quarterback, and he grew out of that position quite obviously. Yeah. But 6'6", 6'7", he's got a leverage advantage over everybody that he fights just about. And certainly Marco Stunt should be given a credit and a bonus for taking that ass whooping tonight, because he came to play and he did everything he could. And I think Marco just lost his grandmother a couple of days ago, so condolences to him. But he showed up, folks. The little guy showed up to play and try to entertain you. And I got a lot of time for a guy like that.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing that you mentioned, Jim, is, with the, grieving the loss of a family member, especially somebody as important as Marco's grandmother, that's a huge thing. And to then be paired up with somebody literally twice your size. I mean, we say that as a joke a lot of times, but Lance Archer is literally twice the size of Marco Stunt. And for Marco to walk in there with all of those factors, rattling around in the back of his head, I mean, all kudos to him. He did a tremendous job here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, and JR hit on it, and Excalibur, you and I, we've talked about it offline too, and the toughness, and JR just nailed it. The toughness of Marco. He's a tough little son of a gun, man. And I don't care how big or small he is, how much he weighs. It's not easy to take the bumps that he took by someone the size of Archer. And as far as Archer, I have to tell you, I mean, I feel like this is the time for him. He's had a lot of success. He has experience, but this is really the time for him to really blow up. And I think right here in AEW it's going to happen, because he's got this insane size, as we know. He's got this great athleticism, as we know, and his intensity in the ring. But he has something that you can't teach, and that's presence. He has a presence about him. He has a presence. And now with Jake Roberts aligned with him as his advisor or mouthpiece or what have you, it's a deadly combo. But, I mean, good God, Archer is something else.
Well, not only that, but...
Hey, we're back on the air.
Oh, what happened? We lost you? Oh.
Yeah, we lost the connection. Here, anyway, never mind. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just got this great promo. Nobody heard it?
No, we heard you, I think. But the other thing that Lance has is an opportunity. He's got that TNT Championship title tournament in his sights in that first round match with Colt Boom Boom Cabana, who we heard on commentary here tonight.
Colt did a nice job on commentary too, by the way. My hat's off to Tony. God dang, he carried the load and a lot of responsibility to get all the information. And there's a lot of information. These shows are very, as you guys know, very information heavy, and you got to prepare. So I kudos to Tony Schiavone for doing another great job there. And Colt Cabana does a nice job as well. I look at Archer as a brand, and I look at he's finally getting a chance in America to be on national television in a main event role. He knows that the better he does, the more Tony Khan will probably pay him in the future. And he knows he can get a few great years out of this company in his mid-30s. Then it's going to be great for his future. So there's a lot at stake here, more than just beating somebody up, being the baddest guy, and having a mohawk and a long pigtail, and being a 6'6" or 6'7" guy. There's your future of your family is what we're talking about here. And so these guys are trying to build brands, and because they're independent contractors, they are entrepreneurs. They're athletic entrepreneurs who do their own stunts, do their own contact. So I got so much respect for these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how high up the ladder that Lance Archer goes. And I think the sky's the limit. We talked earlier about Moxley and Hager. Golly, guys, any title conversation should also include somewhere down going forward Lance Archer, among others.
Well, On to the next segment of Dynamite. We saw Brody Lee. And actually, before we get to that, Zach Attack 1337 or Leet, whichever, from the chat asks a question for Taz. Taz, do you think there are more members of the Jones family or the Dark Order?
I would definitely say the Jones family. I mean, even though we saw 8 and 9 of the Dark Order compete tonight, but there's definitely probably maybe 6 to 7 more Jones members as opposed to Dark member. And I am not the exalted one of the Jones family. That would be that's Mike Tenay, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, we saw Brody Lee, the exalted one of the Dark Order.
I knew you'd pop on that.
Is Mike Tenay, is Mike Tenay still on Earth?
I think he is. I thought he was the exalted one until Brody showed up, to be honest.
All right.
Tenay's in Vegas somewhere running some casino. Well, I don't know about now, but you know what I mean? He JR, he's been based in Vegas.
He's like the rest of us. He's got a lot of free time on his hands.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, no one's heard from him in quite some. I know you're good friends with him, JR. You haven't heard from him. I don't think Shivani's heard from him.
So I got to text him.
You got to text him. All right.
Yeah.
Excalibur, you never met him? You don't know?
Never met Mike Tenay. Don't know.
Love. You guys will get along great.
Could be Mike Tenay under here. You don't know. Somebody
do we start selling Ajacon t-shirts on the AEW shop?
No, these aren't. No, we have not.
So what's up with that?
I'll turn it inside out for you.
Wow.
Damn. Dana's gonna fire your ass, big boy.
It's tremendous.
Well, somebody that has had his hands full recently with running an organization, I guess, is none other than the aforementioned Brody Lee, the exalted one who was revealed to be at the head of the Dark Order, and he made it very clear that he has a low tolerance for just about any human foible, Taz.
So yeah, what do we got? Sneezing, yawning. Tonight was yawning.
Sneezing. Oh, you dropped the bomb, huh?
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, and I got set up by Excalibur. Yep. So yes, sneezing, yawning. What else, Gerald? What am I missing? We've experienced some of it. Sleep. Don't sleep. Sleep is a big one.
Sleep is our enemy. God damn it! Understand that. Sleep is our enemy.
Especially on a plane going cross country. Don't sleep. Yeah.
Well,
just listen to Kid Rock as loud as it can play.
Crank that shit. Yeah, I could go on and on with you.
This is where we get into trouble, and this is where I'm going to change the focus to the next matchup of the evening on Dynamite. It was the Dark Order, 8 and 9 of the Dark Order, taking on the Natural Nightmares, the team that has gone undefeated on AEW Dark, as Taz and I have seen. The team of Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall making their Dynamite debut here tonight, and a very successful Dynamite debut.
Absolutely. These guys, Dustin and QT have become really good friends, and Brandy now is kind of spearheading that team. I think it's great. It's a good feel. I never would have thunk it. JR, like booking wrestling, I never would have booked, me personally, QT with Dustin. But I guess sometimes with teams that could happen when you fall upon something with his chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry is all about, Taz, it's all about chemistry. QT reminded me of a young Killer Carl Cox with that haircut. Carl was prematurely bald.
That's tremendous.
And he walking around the ring. I was watching tonight. There's a little bit of Killer Carl Cox in him. And by the way, that's not just me making a joke about being follically impaired. It's
right.
A joke. It's because Killer Carl Cox was very straightforward and as good a heel as I ever saw. Now QT's not a heel except to the boys backstage, but nonetheless. He's really coming along, and I thought that was a funny remark there because his best friend Cody did say something about his hair, which is why I'm saying it. But he looks like his head got caught on fire and someone put it out with a rake.
So you're saying it's not a good hairdo?
Well, it's not good yet.
Not yet.
It's like a pet thing. It's got to grow a little bit,
But just shave the shit. Like, why doesn't he just shave it? Excalibur, why doesn't QT just shave his head? He's got the apple thing. Shave it like an apple. Just shave the head. There's nothing wrong with it. Shave your head.
Maybe he's waiting for that Headblade sponsorship to come along.
But here's the deal: he's underrated as a fundamentally sound wrestler, or he wouldn't be on TV. You can't be that good of friends with somebody that's an EVP. If you stink, you're not going to be on television and make your buddy look bad. QT's a good hand, And I think he and Dustin just simply have chemistry. They're at different ends of the spectrum. I mean, Dustin's been in the business for 30 years or so. QT is, I don't know how long he's been in the business, but he's only been on the national radar for a short while. So I'm impressed with what he's done. We make fun of the hair thing. Come on, it's a joke. Boys always joke,
Right?
but nonetheless, I thought that they had good chemistry, and I also thought that Brody should probably fire both those guys. 8 and 9 got to go.
Well, yeah, I think Brody gave them their walking papers at the conclusion of that matchup. And I mean, one more thing to mention about the Natural Nightmares and QT Marshall is not only does he have Dustin Rhodes in his corner, but he also has the head coach of the Nightmare family, Arn Anderson, and his backing and support as well. So it seems like QT has a lot of support, both in terms of a mental knowledge base of professional wrestling that he can tap into at just about any time.
It's a great point, Excalibur. QT Marshall, he's got like a whole cabinet. He's got like a plethora of people everywhere, like a whole team. It's amazing, man.
I'm lucky enough to work with some of the best minds in professional wrestling. So Kevin Talevi in the chat posed this question to all of us, but I'm going to pose it to you guys. What old school match would you like to see AEW bring back? Jim, your thoughts first. I know you've been around the horn a couple times.
Old school. I like a good 2 out of 3 fall match every now and then because it doesn't get gimmick heavy. I don't need to see 1,800 Hurricane Ranas or topes or what's that thing we talk about?
Tope
Excalibur.
Yeah.
I like those, but that doesn't need to be the foundation of your match. I like a solid wrestling match, like we saw with Cody and his brother back in the spring. I like stuff like that, but I think maybe a well done 2 out of 3 fall match is great for television because it has natural break spots without the obligatory, and we'll be right back. We can do better. We can do better than that.
Yeah, I agree, JR. Excalibur, I got to tell you, I'd like to see us do an AEW like a best 3 out of 5 series of matches, over weeks and time. You know what I mean? Like once we all get back to normal here in our lives, soon, hopefully. And, I just think we've seen that in the business enough, right? Where you see 3 out of 5 series. I think it really gets over the talent. I would do it with 2 of the younger guys, and really give them a lot of TV time and build that chemistry with them over weeks upon weeks. And it doesn't matter who's on top, who loses, who wins. It don't matter. But I would like to see a 3 out of 5 wrestling matches series over weeks.
Yeah,
I like Dusty used to book a best of 7 every now and then.
Yeah,
because it was an NBA thing. And you notice a lot of those matches, the best of 7s, started or were in progress during the NBA playoffs back in the day. There was a rhyme to his reason. So I think you're right, Taz, on the money. 3 out of 5, or best of 7. When I was refereeing in the 70s, when the rosters were very small in the Oklahoma territory, then became Mid-South, there were matches we had were 3 out of 5 falls because the roster was short. You had one great main event, so you get guys to do a 3 out of 5. You could shoot all kinds of angles, do all these things. So I'm not advocating that. That would not work every week. But the multiple fall matches are pretty good, especially as a TV product, as I mentioned.
Right, so I mean, over weeks. JR, a quick question I have for you. I never asked this all the years. I know you traveled, you worked with you. How long, when you refed, how was it a long run, a short run? How long did you ref?
I refereed regularly from about 74 to 77.
Okay.
And then I got out of the business for just a little while to have children, a daughter, and I had a department store, and I promoted spot shows from McGurk, which made me more money than anything I did until that point. But I refereed a lot. Then when I started working for Cowboy in his office, he would use me as a referee on big matches, and he liked my work, and I was official. I was kind of like the male version of Aubrey. I carried myself like an official, not some gimmick,
right,
or some goof. And he would not allow the referees to be made look stupid. He wanted to be official, and the talent had to listen and pay attention. I really believe that great refereeing is a lot like great managing. There was a point in time where it became kind of Anybody can do that.
Right.
It's just so. I think now it's kind of a lost art. Aubrey does a phenomenal job. I think she's the best referee we have. I don't think there's a better referee in the business. But I did that for 3 years. But I learned so much because I was in there with veterans, and they didn't go over their matches in the early part of the day.
Right.
They didn't even talk to each other. So everything was spontaneous by feel. So if I could understand why they're doing what they're doing by the feel, the crowd, and the match and the flow, it helped me get a better understanding of our business in general. So, but I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. But then we referee every match on the card. There's only one referee at on that.
That's a lot of work,
and that got to be a little unique. Yes, it was hard. But hey, there's where I was making. I would make $40 a day.
Whoa.
Pretty good.
Whoa. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
No bumps.
smart
You
as
didn't take
silk,
any
man.
bumps. You weren't taking any ref bumps. Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you
I
weren't
took a lot
taking
of
bumps.
ref bumps.
All right. I didn't
Yeah,
know
I got
if you were taking
covered.
bumps. All right. All right.
I bled.
Really?
I crawled. I cried. I sold. Yeah. I got sick. Hey, my wife was married then, but I wasn't, so I didn't care. Not Jan. Another.
I know.
That's a bad joke. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Scratch that from the podcast. Right.
I think
No, it was live.
Grandma.
Too bad. You can't put that horse back in the barn, Taz. But we saw the continuation back to Dynamite. We saw the continuation of the budding rivalry between Le Champion, Chris Jericho, and Vanguard One, Matt Hardy's stalwart companion. Vanguard One paid a visit to Le Champion when he was in the hot tub, and Chris Jericho once again tried to recruit an inanimate object to the inner circle. Taz, what do you think about the mental the mental space that Chris Jericho is currently occupying after losing the AEW World Championship and coming face to face with Matt Hardy?
I got to tell you, I just cracked up laughing watching this. I actually texted Jericho after I saw the video package. I thought it was hysterical, and it was great, especially when he got out of the gimmick pool at a jacuzzi and he had leather pants on, not just pants. That popped me. But no, I think the whole thing's great. I love the video package. I love the creative what's going on with Jericho and Matt Hardy, Vanguard One, V1 Jones, all that. Because you have two minds, and you guys both know this. With Matt and Chris, these two guys, these are two of the smarter minds you're going to find in the business with years and years of experience. Yeah. They're both so creative, along with, way things are done in AEW from a creative perspective. This thing's just getting better and better. I love it. JR, you?
Yeah, it's unique. It's different. Anything that we can do that's different and entertaining is a good thing. The issue is that both Matt and Chris, thanks to Tony Khan and AEW's philosophy, have the chance to create their own content. And what a gift that is for a wrestler.
Sure.
It's just the other companies are much more stringent, more confining. You're not thinking for yourself. You can't be your character because that's not what the vision is or whatever it may be today. But I love the fact that the AEW guys can create their own content, their promos, those vignettes. When Darby Allin sends a vignette in, he doesn't have a big crew of writers. There's no writers. We have no writers. So you challenge the talent to come up with their best stuff because that's what's going to make you the most money. So Jericho realized it. Matt realized it. They have an open door now creatively, much like John Moxley. The shackles have been taken off. They're excited about their opportunity. And it's great to see two veterans like that, Jericho and Hardy, who have been around a long time and very, very successful, Hall of Fame guys, no doubt about it, to be able to think for themselves and create their own content. They got to be having a blast. And I got to believe that when everything gets back to some of normalcy, they'll have even more fun tasks, like you said.
Yeah, it's not a hard and fast rule, but I think both of you guys have been around long enough that you can agree that some of the most successful professional wrestlers are the ones that are the most creative and the most passionate about it. And Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy are two of the most creative and two most passionate pro wrestlers that we have.
Absolutely, Excalibur and JR, you just hit on it there. And you're right, Excalibur. They are so creative, and I said that too. But the thing is, what JR hit on is like here in AEW, you're it's okay. You're allowed to. You're investing in your character. It's embraced by the EVPs. It's embraced by Tony Khan. It's embraced. Listen, not just me, but a lot of guys. I've been a victim of getting my wings clipped creatively in other companies. It effing sucked. Okay, so but I've also had the opportunity to work places where I was able to invest in my character and give back in my character, and it was embraced by the guy I worked for. There's a huge difference, and you're seeing it now with guys like Jared said, with Mox, with Jericho, with Matt Hardy, with Jake Hager, guys that were elsewhere where they were clipped.
Lance Archer,
right?
Lance Archer, Brody Lee. I think that's going to be one of the great calling cards for our company in the future, is that talents are going to see how much fun their peers are having here. They're going to see if they can earn a great living here, and they work for a tremendous boss. And I think we have look, I've been in a lot of locker rooms since the mid-'70s, guys, with the greatest in the business. And lucky for me, again, right place, right time. But boy, when the word gets out, continues to evolve, that how cool it is to work here. And the schedule, the attitude, just the environment, man. I miss coming to work. I really do. And
Me
I'm the
too.
oldest dude
Yeah.
on the roster. I miss coming to work, man.
Me too.
I look forward to going to AEW TV every week. I miss my friends. I miss you guys. Well, Taz, not so much, but nonetheless,
That was a layup.
My writing partner. When we were the SmackDown team for a while, right, Taz?
Yes, sir, man. And we drove. Yeah, we drove. How long? I don't know. Jeez.
Taz he was a wheelman.
Yeah,
wheelman. Tony Soprano would love Taz as a driver.
It's very rare, Excalibur. You could have a New Yorker in the car with a dude from Oklahoma, and not only do they get along, but the guy from Oklahoma is not afraid the way the New Yorker drives. JR didn't give a shit. He was like, "Let's do it, man." We had a lot of fun,
and we could understand each other more often than not.
Yeah. We both butchered the English language.
Well, getting back to AEW Dynamite, and JR, I have to echo your sentiments as well. I miss our entire crew, seeing those people every week and seeing the great job that, not only the on-camera staff does, but Keith Mitchell, everybody back in the truck, Tim Walbert, and the Gregs, Warner and Horn, all those guys do such an amazing job week in and week out. And it's a real bummer to not be able to see our coworkers every week. But going back towards Dynamite and towards the show, the final match of the evening, that epic tag team match between four of the competitors that will be in that TNT Championship title match. Cody teaming up with Darby Allin to take on Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears. And before we get to the match, I have to ask you guys another question from the chat. Life After Death asks, who is your pick to win the TNT Championship? Taz, I'll tee this one up for you.
Oh, wow. I in looking at it and looking at the brackets and when we see the other side it's tough to pick, but I think I gotta look at just my gut. I look at Cody as a favorite. Cody, the opportunity for him to become AEW World Champion is not there anymore, as we know. I do think that a guy like Cody, you got to look at him as a big time favorite because he's going to be driven as hell to become the first ever TNT, champion. I'm going to go with that. I don't care if there's an EVP or not. It don't matter to me. I know him a long time, and I know how legit he is. He can go, and I think my man is going to be driven, no matter what his position is in the company, to hold some gold. And he knows this is a shot right here to become the first ever TNT champion. So I'm going to go with Cody.
JR,
I think I'm going to go with Lance Archer. Lance Archer for me, because when everything gets back to normal and we're in full complement of our roster, Lance will have Jake Roberts at ringside. That could be a big, big difference maker. Jake is a great strategist. Jake didn't win all those matches and become famous and a Hall of Fame guy because of his physique or his biceps, or his pythons, or any of those things. He became a star and a Hall of Famer with his mind. And his mind is still very, very crisp. I think that could be a difference maker. But again, I go back to what I said earlier. If for Lance Archer to come in here and boom, roll in here from New Japan, become an AEW guy, have this opportunity, it allows him to take a massive step forward in what he wants to accomplish. Because I got to believe that whomever wins the TNT title is going to be firmly in the top 5 and firmly in the hunt for a heavyweight title match. So there's a lot at stake here. But then again, we haven't talked about the dark horses. What if Darby Allin gets hot, hits the right thing at the right time? Because we know he can. And he all of a sudden, he comes out of this damn thing on the other side as the first. The neat thing about this is that there'll be other TNT champions. Somebody's not going to win it. It's not like being a Supreme Court justice. You're not going to have the job for life. Others are going to win, but there's only going to be one first time ever. It's like Chris Jericho. He'll always be known as the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And so I think there's the same thing. That same cachet goes along with the TNT title. I love tournaments. It's single elimination. You win or you go home. You win and you advance. The only way it should be. A pro wrestling tournament that's double elimination is like kissing your sister to me. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, you can't have the loser brackets and stuff. I think you mentioned dark horse. I think a guy like Sean Spears, another guy who maybe has some momentum now after tonight. We saw again a victory there in Derby in this tag match, so he could be looked at as a dark horse too. But Excalibur, who's your pick?
My pick is actually echoing kind of what JR said about how Lance Archer is going to have Jake Roberts in his corner, whispering in his ear. My pick is actually Sammy Guevara, and that's for two simple words: inner circle. He's got the backing of Chris Jericho, of Santana and Ortiz, and of Jake Hager. And we saw how influential the inner circle could be when Jericho was defending his AEW World Championship. And I think a lot of those factors may come into play for Sammy Guevara in this tournament.
I think you make a good point and we heard tonight Jericho from his palatial estate, La Champion. He mentioned about, I think it was either there or the shot where he was in the bar in the empty bar, but he had mentioned that he hopes Hager becomes champion because no matter what, if Hager's a champion, the inner circle is the champion. So imagine then, to your point, if Sammy G gets the TNA, how am I doing? The TNT championship, gotta be like, wow, now you got 2 championships in the inner circle. Jericho will be happy as a pig in poop.
Yeah, that's right, because he retains the entire control of the inner circle. He didn't have to split it with Moxley. And speaking of Moxley, Prince Leo from the chat asks, he feels that John Moxley is going to hold the AEW World Championship for a long, long time. Do you guys see anybody on the horizon that could dethrone Moxley, or do you think he's going to be a champ, for the foreseeable future?
Well, I think
Jake Hager. Jake Hager's one of them. Jake Hager's a guy.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, yeah, you can't look past him.
No.
That's right.
I think our roster is talented enough, fellas, that on a given night, I know it's cliche as hell, but on a given night, it takes 3 seconds to win, and 3 seconds is quicker than a hiccup, right? So I think there's a lot of guys we have. Excalibur brings up a great point about God dang Tully's guy,
Sean Spears.
Sean Spears. Well, here's the thing. I told him this the other day. I said, get rid of everything that has 10 on it. That 10 gimmick he had.
Right.
You're killing me with it.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he does. He doesn't do it that much anymore. I don't think anymore. But I can. But Sean's a hell of a talented guy. He's another guy that needs to move his mark and raise his game. He's got Tully with him. I wonder how much he's using Tully, because Tully Blanchard is a great asset. He's equal to what Arn's doing for Cody and Cody's group, and I think that Sean Spears in this tournament should not be overlooked. He's hungry, and he's got an opportunity, and he sure as hell has the skill set. So I think there's a lot of guys that could win this down. That's the great thing about the tournament. I love this, the win or go home. I love the sudden death aspect of it. It all starts next week, and it should be a really cool thing. I'm anxious to see what the fans think about the bracketing and their predictions and things of that nature. But it starts next week, and I can't wait to start watching it.
Yeah, and so as you mentioned, the tournament starts next week. This tag match, Taz, as you mentioned, Sean Spears coming away with a victory over Darby Allin to kind of set things up, and that capped off tonight's episode of Dynamite. And as much as I hate to be watching it from home, I thought it was a great episode that they produced under very, very difficult circumstances. So once again, hats off to our crew. Those guys are doing an amazing job there, and I'll be right here in San Diego watching Dynamite next week as the TNT Championship tournament kicks off.
Yeah, and it's I gotta say, I mean, it's, and you guys know this, when you're home watching, it's different. It's cool in a way watching the shows when you're home. But when you're I don't care where you work, in the wrestling business, when you're at a show, it's a different feel. And that's not a negative thing. I mean, sometimes when you go home and watch it, you can see different things when you're home watching as opposed to being at the show. But when you're used to working on a show, and both you guys have called a lot more Dynamites than me from jump. So just being part of calling some Dynamites myself, I miss it. I miss it immensely. But like we've both chirped out here, or three of us, I should say, that the people we work with are all so friggin' cool, and everybody is really nice. And I've been in the business a long time, not as long as JR, but I've been around the block a few times. And I never worked at a place where I love going to work so much. And I mean that. Okay. I love this place, going to work more than anywhere else I've worked. And yeah, everywhere. Even at Extreme Place. So saying a lot for me. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. Speaking of love, Chris Michael,
you don't like nothing.
I don't like
all three of us.
Yeah, nothing, Jay. You know that.
Taz to say nice things like that, Excalibur.
I know
it's huge because he ain't like Mikey. He won't eat anything. He don't like nothing. Nothing.
Oh man.
Chris Michael Harris in the chat. We send our love back to you.
How long is this telethon going to last?
We got another hour.
Up, man. Don't worry.
It's a 2-hour
eat dinner.
Are we doing the hour? Is that what we're doing Broadway?
60-minute Broadway, yeah.
Well, guys,
we got a question
on YouTube. Taz, we did have a question. Was Joey Numbers behind the gambling action between Spears and Sammy Guevara?
Yeah, I think he might have been. And rumor has it, Jerry, better be careful. I think Joey Numbers might, once he gets out, because he's been inside, he's moving to Oklahoma City, not Norman. So be careful, JR. He's trying to stay JR, bottoms up, JR.
Gambling action. He knows where to go. He knows who to call up. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us here. JR's got to refuel that mule, so we gotta cut this one short. We'll be back. I think we'll be back here next week on YouTube if they don't.
I'm gonna collect call from Joe Exotic from federal prison. The son of a bitch wants to borrow more money. Joe Exotic looks like a broke down, I want to be a wrestler guy who was a preliminary guy in Memphis. And they were using him once and got rid of him, but he's told all his buddies he's a pro wrestler. He thinks he got the mullet and the fake tan.
Right.
And here's the thing. Somebody said, are all Oklahomans like that? He ain't from Oklahoma, for God's sake. He was born in Kansas. Blame Kansas on that calamity.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Not Oklahoma.
Exotic.
And I mean, it's interesting. JR hasn't even watched Tiger King. He's just cutting a promo on Joe Exotic for no reason.
All right. So here's the thing with Joe Exotic and Tiger King. I know we're supposed to wrap up, but whatever. I'm just going to keep going. I haven't. My wife and I we're supposed to watch this Tiger King gimmick. I haven't. Is it really as good as everybody's saying?
It's you can't take your eyes off it because it's a train wreck.
Really?
Is it good? I wouldn't tell you it's good. It's compelling.
Okay.
It's different.
Yeah, it's a compelling
and you will get
story.
all one of it in a few minutes, but it's got an interesting story arc. And then, of course, the finish is the guy gets convicted of murder for hire. And now he's in federal prison in Fort Worth.
You just gave me the finish. You stooge off the ending.
Well, I mean, it is public information, Taz.
Jeez.
It ain't like it's a secret.
Yeah. I thought it was a compelling story. The animal abuse was the toughest thing that I had. That was really difficult to watch. And so, I mean,
you're not a good guy.
Yeah.
All right.
There was no good guys in this story.
You guys are not selling me. I don't even want to watch it now. It sounds like it sucks.
Well, speaking of good guys.
It doesn't suck.
No.
But you're not going to like it anyway. It could be goddamn Gone with the Wind and you won't like it. So it doesn't matter how good it is. You're not going to like it anyway.
It's funny. It's funny you said that because our colleague Tony Schiavone, our friend, he was telling me a few weeks ago about that gimmick on Amazon with Al Pacino. What's the thing?
Hunters.
Hunters. Taz, you got to watch it. It's based in Brooklyn. Taz, you got to watch it. Taz, you got to watch. So I watched episode 1. I liked it. Then episode 2, I text Tony after about 15 minutes. I go, I'm done. Okay. All of a sudden, it turned into like a cheap Quentin Tarantino thing, and they lost me. I gave up. I tapped out. I have no patience for this shit. I don't watch a lot of this stuff, So I hope I like this Tiger King.
I know you don't.
That's why Taz.
I think. Does anybody watch Ozark on Netflix?
Ozark.
Anybody watch Ozark on Netflix?
Probably Excalibur. I think Excalibur probably did.
No, I'm actually getting through season 2 of Narcos on Netflix, the Narcos Mexico, which is actually pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you'd like Ozark on Netflix.
Ozark?
I think you'd like it, seriously.
All right, no, I will.
Ozark. It's not about the Clampetts. It's about a guy that leaves Chicago to launder money, and he moves the operation of the Lake of the Ozarks. Seriously, and it's like The Sopranos, only an updated version.
Ozark.
He's trying to launder $8 million, and on the Ozark, up in the Ozarks, on the lake of the Ozarks.
A good friend of mine just texted me. He's watching in. A good friend of mine said Ozark is great. He just texted me. A good buddy.
Was it Jeff Jones? Because he texted me too.
I didn't want to stooge off the judge.
Well, there's also some indiscriminate nipple shots.
Whoa, watch that.
And there's nothing wrong sometimes with a nipple shot here and there.
Ariola Jones.
Well,
I hear you. Yeah. Or Excalibur. He's like,
you know what?
Ariola Jones.
We cannot top that. So everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching Dynamite, and stay strong, stay healthy, wash those hands, stay isolated, and we'll see you guys next week. And if you are sitting inside, what better thing to do than read, and to read Under the Black Hat, which is available in bookstores around the world right now. It is a slobber knocker of a read. So everybody, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, boys.
Be well, everybody. Take care.